Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this video, I'll be doing factor theorem. One of my viewers, I can't remember his name, but he requested this from me, and I must apologize for my lateness, all right? So factor theorem is basically finding all the possible numbers that goes exactly into a number of an expression or equation. All right, and there's some basic ideas you need to understand about factor theorem. So the first one is if f of c equals 0, then x minus c is a factor of f of x. And we know f of x here is the function. And that function is x squared minus 2x plus 3, or x cubed minus x squared minus 2x plus 6, or something of that sort. All right, so that's your function. And we know that c is the root of the function. So that means when you equate this to 0, so x minus c is equal to 0, and you add c to both sides, x is equal to c, and so c is the root of the function. All right, and the reverse is also true. So if x minus c is a factor of f of x, then f of c is equal to 0. This being set equal to 0, guys, is basically any number you see in this bracket here. Let's say f of 4. So let's say f of 4. All right? And the function given is x squared minus 3x minus 4. All right? When you put 4 into this function, it should give you 0. All right? That's what they're basically talking about. So let me do that part for you. So 4 squared minus 3 times 4 minus 4 is equal to, let's simplify this. So this should give you 0 if you're evaluating it. So 16 minus 12 minus 4. Minus 12 minus 4 is also a negative 16, or minus 16. So 16 minus 16 is equal to 0. All right? And so this c would be 4, and that is equal to 0. I hope you understand this simple aspect of it. Let's move on. All right? And so if c is equal to 4, then f of 4 is equal to 0, and you saw me working that just now. All right? Which means that x minus 4 is a factor. When I say it's a factor, I mean it is divisible. The function itself, or the expression, same function. So the function is divisible by 4. So when you have a factor, guys, we then use synthetic division to find the remaining factors. All right? And we are going to get into a question. So the first question, it says solve the equation x squared minus 4x squared plus x plus 6 is equal to 0, given that 3 is a root of the given function. I won't repeat the function, but 3 is a root of this. So the first thing we need to know, once it is a root, so remember, if c is equal to 3, then the factor is x minus c. In this case, it will be x minus 3. So basically, it is saying that x minus 3 is a factor of this, okay? To do the synthetic division, you basically divide this function by x minus 3. All right? And so that value would be basically c. So if I should equate this to 0, add 3 to both sides, you are going to have x is equal to 3, which is the same thing as c. All right? So we're going to divide the function, the equation we're given, by 3. And so synthetic division, if you don't know this, I can do a video on it for you. Use a different color marker. So let's go. So we're going to be taking the coefficients of each of these terms up here. So we know before the x squared, there's a 1. Before this x is also a 1. We're taking the numbers. So let's go. So it's 1, negative 4, positive 1, and a positive 6. All right. You don't have to put the plus sign, but I'm just doing that because we're going to be adding and multiplying as we go down. So for synthetic division, we bring down the first one. So it's going to be multiplication, then addition. So 3 times 1 is 3. And here you do addition. So it's negative 4 plus 3 to give us a negative 1. Let's multiply again. So it's 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3. Positive 1 subtract 3 is a negative 2. 3 times a negative 2 is a negative 6. Positive 6 subtract 6 is 0. And so once the nth number here is 0, we know that it is a factor. All right? So for the remaining, we know that x minus 3 is a factor already. So x into x squared, x into x cubed. Let me write it here. So x cubed divided by x is going to leave us with x squared. All right, so the first term here is representing x squared. So we're left with x squared minus 1x minus 2. And the factor we have here is x minus 3. All right, but we're not finished with this one. We have to factorize completely. And to factorize completely, we have to reduce this one to 2 more factors because it's a quadratic here. So we can bring it down to 2 more factors. And so to factorize completely, we can use the AC method right here. And the AC method, that's basically saying A times C, the coefficient of A and C. When you multiply them, you should get a number that when you add them, you get the B value. All right, so A times C is going to be, I'm going to put it right here. It's going to be a negative 2 because it's going to be 1 times negative to negative 2. So factors of negative 2 are negative 1, 2, and the negative 2, 1. But we need these two numbers, we add them to get the middle term, which is a negative 1. So this will give us a positive 1. That will give us a negative 1. All right, you can do the long method or you can do the shortcut to this. If you don't know how to do the shortcut, I have a video that will help you. But in this case, we're going to be doing the shortcut. So we're going to create 2 binomial. So that's 1, that's 2. The variable we're using here is x. All right, so this 2 is a negative 2. So negative 2 right here. This one is a positive 1. So a positive 1 right here. If you don't know this method, you can go ahead and do the long working note by saying x squared. You're going to replace this negative 1 with the 2 terms you found. X squared minus 2x plus 1x minus 2. And you solve from here by grouping and then you factorize. All right, but I'm not going to go with this method. I'm going to leave it with that one. So we found that x minus 2, x plus 1 is basically x squared minus 1x minus 2. And remember to write back the first one that we have, x minus 3. All right, so if you're asked to find the roots of this equation, you're going to equate everything to 0. So we're going to equate x minus 2 to 0. We're going to equate x plus 1 to 0. We're going to equate x minus 3 to 0. All right, so let's go. So we're going to be adding 2 here, So x is equal to 2, x is equal to negative 1, and x is equal to 3. And these are our solution. X equal 2, this will look funny, x equal negative 1, and x is equal to 3 would be the roots of the equation, but the factors would be x minus 2, x plus 1, and x minus 3. I hope you understand this first working. We're going to continue into the next question. So for this question, it says solve the equation 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0 if x minus 1 is a factor. Since I'm not seeing one at all. So here they told us that x minus 1 is a factor already. All right, so if you want to know the root, because remember it's the root that we use, so we say x minus 1 is equal to 0, x is equal to 1. So this is the number that we will be using for the synthetic division. We can either use synthetic division or we can evaluate by putting in 1 into this function. All right, so let's continue. Synthetic division, so it's going to be 2, -3, -5, and a +6. How did I get these? I take the coefficients of what we're given above. All right, so remember we bring down the first and then we add, multiply and add. So it's going to be 2. So it's going to be multiplying here. So it's 1 times 2 is 2, and it's a +2. -3 plus 2 is a -1. 1 times a -1 is a -1. -5 plus -1 is a -6. 1 times a -6 is a -6. +6, -6 is equal to 0. So we know it's true that x minus 1 is a factor. From here, we are going to write this form with the variables that we are given. So remember, we found one factor. And so x into x cubed up here, let me show you. So the same thing you do to know what power would go here. So it's x cubed divided by x to give you x squared. And so 2x squared minus 1x minus 6. That's that. And the factor we had before was x minus 1. All right. We're going to complete this bracket here by simplifying it using the AC method again. Or if you want to use another method, that's up to you. But the AC method is easier to me. So use the AC method to factorize this part, or to simplify the expression. So let's go. So the AC method, A times C. A here, A, that's B, and that's C. A times C. So it's going to be 2 times a -6 to give me a -12. I need two factors of -12 that when I add them, I get a -1. All right. And so to get a -1 right here, so we know we have 2, 1, 6, 1 and 12, 4 and 3. But remember, factors have both negative and positive numbers. So I'm going to be using -4 and a +3. All right. Now I'm going to be applying this, replacing the middle term with these two. So let's go. So it's going to be 2x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 6. I'm going to be grouping right here because there are 4 terms, so we group them. This marker is not pretty at all. So let's go. Between these two, 2 is common, 2x. We take it out. It's going to be x minus 2. Between these two, 3 is common, so it's a +3, x minus 2. So let's simplify here by factorizing. So what's common between these two? X minus 2 is common. We're left with 2x plus 3. And so we found the two factors right here. So the two factors are x minus 2 and 2x plus 3. But remember, the x minus 1 should be with it. So these are all the factors of the expression, the equation given above. All right. So for us to find the roots now, we're going to equate these to 0. So it's going to be x minus 2 is equal to 0. X is equal to 2. 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So 2x is equal to a -3. And then we're going to divide by 2 because it's multiplying. X is equal to -3 over 2. Then we're going to be working the other question that says the other part, x minus 1 is equal to 0. X is equal to 1. So we know the factors, and they're over here. This paper is moving. I don't know why. My bad, guys. We know the factors, x minus 2, 2x plus 3, and x minus 1, and the roots would be x equal 2, x equal 3 over 2, and x is equal to 1. So I hope you understand this video and what I just explained, and remember to bear this aspect in mind. All right, that f of c is equal to 0, then x minus c is a factor, and c is the root. So you always divide the root into the, when you're doing the synthetic division aspect of it. Let me know if you understand this video, and I will see you on the next one.